Alright, well here we are with another bonsai video. I guess to start this off, I'll say that every other tree that I used to have is dead. I kind of mentioned that in the last video, but that's deleted now because those trees are dead too. So all the videos I used to have of the previous Dawn Redwood and Ginkgo, those all died because I went to college. I couldn't bring them with. I asked my parents to water them, and they didn't, so they dried up. And then about a year ago, I made a video because I bought a larch seedling and a Dawn Redwood seedling, and I put them in bigger containers, and I was going to grow them a little bit bigger and see what we could do. And I was working at a greenhouse, so I could put it outside on the patio in the greenhouse, or bring it inside of the greenhouse for earlier in the year to get the growing season started earlier. And so that's what I did. Around February, I brought my larch and my Dawn Redwood into the greenhouse. The buds started opening up and growing. And then I left my job at the greenhouse, and I had to bring my plants with. And I had bad lighting in my apartment, but anyways, trying to grow an outdoor tree inside of an apartment isn't really an easy task. And I wanted to put them outside because that's where there's more sunlight, so that's what I did. But still, in early March we had a little bit colder weather and some cold snaps, and what happened was overnight basically most of the foliage on those trees died. And it would have been fine if I just left it outside, but I brought it into the greenhouse because I thought, okay, I'm just going to have it here until June. And then it turns out I had to, take it outside of the greenhouse in early March, and I kind of had no option, so they died. But now I'm growing this out in my yard, so we're going to keep it outdoors the whole time. There's no more greenhouse, so it'll harden off and it'll grow when it's ready to grow. I needed another Dawn Redwood too, but I didn't have any at the May bonsai show and sale at the Botanic Garden. So we're going to go in August where they should have a bigger selection. I'm going to get a Dawn Redwood, maybe a Ginkgo. What I'm going to do is I'm going to plant some in my yard. There really isn't a whole lot of room though, but I feel like that's the best option to thicken the trunk. But I think this one I'm going to leave in the pot. Basically, it came in like a 4-inch pot. I up-potted it into this giant pot. Fertilized with a good fertilizer, it should grow roots. I put bone meal on here, then there's some like liquid soluble fertilizers that are meant for root growth that I might buy. When I made that video about those seedlings that I up-potted into from like a little 4-inch pot to the half-gallon pot, it filled that up with roots in one growing season. So fertilized properly, it can, pack a pot full of roots. I'm not sure how thick we can get the trunk though in the container, but it's kind of an experiment, so we'll see. I mean, if it's going really badly in, the next 5 years, I might just put it in the ground eventually, but we'll see what happens. But I think if we can get a really thick taproot going, that'll thicken up the trunk. I want it at least like 3 times as thick for something this size. I'm not going to cut any of the foliage off because I want as much photosynthetic area as possible. So we're kind of just going to let it grow out, but I'm kind of going to keep an eye on it because I want, some energy to still be close to the trunk because it's got a decent amount of back budding here, so I want to retain all that. The branches need to be thicker. That might happen, and probably, well, it will eventually. I've been given 10 years time, but with that heavy root fertilizer, I think once you start bulking up the root system, all the branches will bulk up easier as well. Gonna grow them out a little bit to try and thicken them up that way, but I'm kind of not so sure about that because what tends to happen when I start growing things out too long, all the buds on the back of the branch die, and then we end up with a long stick and all the foliage at the end. So I think what we might do is sort of cut most of the foliage off the apex next year and just have all of the growth be focused on in the lower part of the tree. Tossed on Osmocote, tossed on bone meal. Like I said, we're probably going to get another root fertilizer and just have this sort of bulk up for a couple of years, and then we'll come back and kind of see what we can do with it. I should probably mention what I'm kind of going for with this tree, but I'm not really sure completely what I want to do yet. I don't really like the full kind of foliage look. I'm looking more for just sort of a triangular, kind of typical evergreen shape. I wanted a lot skinnier and a lot thinner foliage. I'm kind of going off of something I saw at a bonsai show years ago, where they had a really thin trunk, twin trunk larch, and the foliage was kind of really wired to have that downward kind of sloping look to it. Very sparse foliage, made the trunk look a little thicker too, because it was very short branches with not really a lot of foliage, and they did a really good job of reducing the needle size, so it looked really good. I think I still have a picture of those trees somewhere on my computer, maybe, I don't know, but that's kind of what we're gonna go for. So the final product, I wouldn't look for something that's much taller than this, so this is about the right height. I might, keep growing it a little bit taller just to thicken the trunk, bulk up this area. But then I want it, at least, half of this foliage is going to be present in the final look of the tree. Wire all this down eventually, but for now we're pretty much just going to be growing it to bulk it up as much foliage as possible, try and bulk up this root system. I'm not sure when I'll make another video about this because it's got a lot of growing to do, but we'll see what happens with this.